What is up, football fans, UFL fans, but most importantly, Houston Roughnecks fans? All right, guys, we are a week into training camp. Over a week, we're into the second week. We have joint practices going on. We have cuts happening. We have people standing out. We have people falling in the background. Man, I'm here to talk about it all. Let's get into it.
I'm in the big leagues. Told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston. Hey, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh. Send it through quickly.
All right, guys. So, episode 26. That's a lot of episodes. So, episode 26 of the Roughneck Rundown, we are going to talk about training camp. So, week one of training camp has come and gone. We've seen cuts, we've seen signings, we've seen a lot of stuff. And today, we had our first joint practice with the Arlington Renegades. A lot came out of that, some good, some bad. I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about people that have stuck out in the first week of training camp that maybe some are surprises, some, we saw coming, but very exciting. So the topics that we're going to talk about, boom, Roughnecks training camp week one recap. Like I said, boom, we're going to talk about players impressing so far. Very excited about this. Let's talk about, everybody wants to talk about this, right? Quarterbacks, and they are too close to call, which is surprising. If you'd asked me going into training camp, who's going to be the quarterback one? I'd have been like, it's Reed Sinnett 100% of the time, all the time. He's the guy. Well, Jarrett Garantano, apparently he's showing a lot with his legs. They're liking it. Nolan Henderson, he's showing that he's very versatile, whether it be with his legs, with his arm. He's doing a lot more than, they really knew. They knew that they were getting a guy who was going to come in and he was going to show bright spots in both areas. He's a mobile guy. He throws on the run well, but he's coming in and he's really showing that he's here to compete. So it really is just kind of too close to call. I put this video together of the quarterbacks. I guess I didn't make it repeat, but I wanted to compare their throwing styles. Boom. And how it looked for all three of them, their release, their footwork, their three-step back. All of that together. They're all very close. Reed Sinnett, I would have to say, is the most refined. Jarrett Garantano, it's a little more raw. And I would say Nolan Henderson, it's a little bit in the middle. So it's kind of what I was thinking going into camp. But what I'm hearing is that it's not 100% getting, handled. That it's not one quarterback is way above the rest. So that's something that's very interesting. Now, moving on, we have the receivers. So who are the quarterbacks throwing to? Well, we have a few standouts. So over here, we have Kirk Merritt. Kirk Merritt is a guy that went into the NFL preseason. He was on the Dolphins with Reed Sinnett. They have chemistry. They come in as a friendship. And that is something that, honestly, in a league like this, when you don't have a long training camp, when, chemistry is huge and you really need people that can just mesh together quickly, having Kirk Merritt and Reed Sinnett together is big. Then you have Tio Redding, who this is his third year on the Houston team. He was with the Gamblers, drafted way back in the inaugural USFL draft, been on the team ever since. He's a guy that people just consistently sleep on, and he's showing in training camp that he's still doing it. So they're posting pictures of him. Then we have this nice reach out pass. It's a very, very cool photo. That's Anthony Ratliff-Williams. If you saw this week, I had a post about ARW, and dude, he is just a beast. He's consistent. He has great hands. He's also our backup quarterback. So if all three of our quarterbacks are to go down, Anthony Ratliff-Williams can legitimately come in and throw the ball. He actually went to North Carolina as a quarterback and then realized that he could make a bigger name for himself moving to a wide receiver. So he did that because he's just that much of an athlete. So absolutely love him. He is getting showcased a lot. And then somebody, we talked about Kirk Merritt and how Kirk Merritt has the chemistry going in with Reed Sinnett. Well, Gene Coleman, who is up there catching the ball, like this. Gene Coleman played college at Delaware, and he played with Nolan Henderson. So that is another guy who has some chemistry with one of the quarterbacks, and that really does help you stand out in camp. Now, we have such a good receiver room. We have Kirk Merritt, Tio Redding, Anthony Ratliff-Williams, Gene Coleman, Stephen Dunbar, Cyril Grayson. We have Isaiah Henney, who we picked up in the dispersal draft, who is electric. We have so many receivers that I genuinely don't know how they're going to cut it down. I think at least two of them are going to be released by the end of camp because we just have so many guys. I don't know how you really narrow it down because these are really all great guys. And, you know, a lot of them were here last year. They've worked under Coach CJ. Yeah, I just don't know. That's a lot that they're going to have to weed through. But I think Kirk Merritt, Anthony Ratliff-Williams, those are really two names that I think are solid and will be making this roster. Those are two names I'm going to say. Now, moving on to running backs. Oh, running backs. Mark Thompson. I don't even have to talk about him. We all know that Mark's going to start. We all know that Mark, every time you talk to Coach CJ, literally, I talked to him this week they have media time where they let the coaches and some players, if you need to, talk to the media. If you follow me on Instagram and Twitter, you saw that I talked to Mark Thompson. That's how I found out about the joint practice. So that's really cool. But Tion Evans, he's a guy that I think is standing out in camp right now. He's very, very fast. He's shifty. He's impressive. Coming out of college, he's just a back that is, you know, probably a little undersized, but plays bigger than he is. And I'm hearing from other people within the camp that he's somebody that you shouldn't be sleeping on. And when we have the other running backs, this is a guy who's standing up above the rest. You know, TJ Pledger is probably the person that a lot of people think he's going to be running back too, because last year, the beginning of the season, when Mark was out, with personal reasons and then injury and sickness, that TJ came in and he stepped it up. He had 2 touchdowns in week 1, all that good stuff. I believe it. I love TJ. He's a great guy. But Tion Evans, this is a dude who's electric. Now, when you think about it, we're keeping 3 running backs. 100%. I already know it. Coach Stash said it. The running backs coach, special teams coordinator. He said 3 running backs. That's what we're keeping after camp. I think Tion makes it. Now, the nice thing is that we have Ryan Nall, who's he is a running back. Ryan Nall wants to be a running back 100%, and he plays running back great. But he can also play a little bit of tight end, you know, a little bit of H-back. He can kind of move around. So you could justify keeping him and keeping 3 other running backs. Now, that's a nice thing. To be able to keep 3 running backs, let's say we keep TJ, Tion, and Mark, that's a solid running back room. And then we could probably keep Ryan Nall, which is really cool. So I like that. Then we move to the defensive side of the ball. You know I love defense, man. So linebackers, I've heard from multiple guys that the first guy that stands out is very obviously Reuben Foster. Everybody loves Reuben Foster. He's a great guy to have in the locker room. He seems to be meshing with literally everybody. He's having a great time. This is a dude who, you know, there were a lot of questions when he was coming back to football about does he still have it? Does he still enjoy football? All that stuff. Because the first question that you really should ask a person, do they still love football? Do they love the game? Are they having fun? And Reuben is proving that he really is. Last season with the USFL and the Maulers, had a great time, got to the championship, and then he came back and it seems like he really hasn't missed a step, especially as far as enjoyment goes. The dude came in, he's a good teammate, he's just having fun. So I've heard that from a lot of people. But also Gabriel Sewell. This is a dude that we got from the Philadelphia Stars. He's best friends with Adam Rodriguez, the amazing pass rusher that we got from the Philadelphia Stars. They literally drive to practice together every day. Gabriel Sewell is coming in and he is turning heads. People are liking this dude at linebacker, which is great because we already had a lot of linebackers. We had Kalen Tolson. We had JT Tyler. Dude, we had a good linebacker core. And the fact that we might have a completely new linebacker core of starters is really impressive. Like, we are just adding that kind of talent. So Gabriel Sewell, that's another name that you should watch. I think he might work his way into starting lineup come week 1. So Reuben Foster, obvious. Gabriel Sewell, newcomer. Very exciting. This is something, the linebacker room is really something that I want to watch during camp because this is somebody, we have a lot of guys that people don't talk about. They don't think about other than Reuben Foster because he's that name. And I think that these guys could really surprise us. And I think we have a sneakily good linebacker room. So watch this. Now, moving on, defensive line. There's not a lot to say about the defensive line because I really think that the hardest part of the defensive line is just figuring out who you would let go. I really think that that's it. That the defensive line, we have Chris Odom, Adam Rodriguez, Isaiah Chambers, Ronheen Bingham, Keontae Shad, Reggie Howard, Olive Sekapolu, Toby Johnson. Toby Johnson just showed up to camp today. I reached out to him. I said, hey, how did it go? Did you like it? He said he's impressed, man. And I don't know who you can cut in this defensive line group. So that's genuinely just the hardest part. They are all standouts. And that comes with its own problems because when everybody stands out, who do you send home? So that's really all I have to say about it. And that's a good problem to have, but It sucks on the personnel side, but still, from a team perspective, from a fan perspective, when you want to win, right? You want to win a championship, that's a good problem to have. Then you move over, defensive backs. Defensive backs is hard, man. This is one of the hardest positions on the field. If you go look, Bruno Reagan, who is a longtime friend of United Football Media, he's played in the XFL and the UFL, back to the XFL. Love that dude. He ranked corner as the second hardest position in football behind quarterback. And that shows in the Roughnecks camp through and through 100%. We have cut 4 corners. We've picked up 2 corners and we've cut 4. It's a hard position. You don't have time to hesitate. You don't have time to really get ready and, feel your way through it. You have to come in and you have to be game ready. Week 1, day 1. That's an incredibly hard thing to ask of somebody. But 3 people that are specifically standing out. So Donald Rutledge, he's kind of a package deal. Donald Rutledge and Manny Bunch are going to be our starting safeties. That's the one, no question. 0 questions in my mind. Week 1, Manny Bunch, Donald Rutledge Jr., they're our starting safeties. Free safety, strong safety. Love it. He's on the left right there. Then on the right, we just picked up Thomas. Keandre Thomas is a guy who has been on practice squads. He's been elevated. Last season, he was on the Packers. He was elevated multiple times and then re-signed to the practice squad. He is like the definition of the fringe NFL guy, where he played in some actual NFL season games. He was elevated. He was there as a backup to a pretty decent secondary that the Green Bay Packers had. So he comes in late. We had dropped 2 corners. We picked up him and Jamari Brown. Jamari Brown coming out of Gardner-Webb. He's a guy who completely took off the NFL draft. He said, I'm not going to do the NFL draft process. I know I'm coming out of a smaller school. I'm going to go to the UFL. Really, really cool. Love that Jamari Brown did that. He's a guy who is coming in. He's young. Like I said, he literally just finished college. This is his first season out of college. And from what I've heard, it's one of those things where he has to come in and he has to learn how to be a professional while trying to make a team. And that's a very hard thing to ask of somebody. So that's cool. But the person that's standing out, Keandre Thomas, I think he could actually start week 1. I think that the corners could be Keandre Thomas and JJ Johnson. I think that they could be our starting 2 outside corners. And then Deion Lake, I think he probably has the nickel locked up, And then the guy in the middle there, I couldn't just cut his body out super easy. So I put him in a frame. Markel Roby. Markel Roby is a guy that came from a very small school. And then I went and watched his tape and really did a deep dive on it a couple weeks back. And he's a killer, dude. This guy comes downfield. Something that I absolutely love about his tape is that when he comes down to hit somebody, he would pause the tape and he would point at the person he's about to hit and tell you how much they weighed. And I think that's really cool because he was about to hit a person who was 240 pounds in his tape. And he stopped the tape, pointed it out, and then he hit that dude, put him back. He's not 240 pounds. Markel Roby. He's not that much weight. And he's still putting these dudes down. Then what I'm hearing in camp is that he's versatile. He's able to move up, play the slot. He plays safety. He can move around to do a lot of things on the defense, which is very good when you're talking about a Chris Wilson defense where you're disguising a lot, you're moving players post snap a lot. So Markel Roby is somebody who's standing out, and I'm genuinely excited to see what he does. So those are my 3 names, kind of 4 because Donald Rutledge, Manny Bunch, they're going to be starting. So that, and then Markel Roby and Keandre Thomas. Those are the dudes that you need to watch in that secondary. So that's kind of what I've noticed. Week 1 of camp, you're not expecting a ton to come out. It's the first week. People are just getting settled in. People have just unpacked in their hotel room, but you still get a lot. There's a lot of nuggets and little things that you can find out. And I'm here trying to get them all for you. I'm very excited. Make sure that those dudes that I just told you their names, you're watching the social media, the Houston Roughnecks, you're watching my social media. We're going to be talking about them. We're going to be posting videos and pictures of them. It's all very exciting and good things are coming. So the last thing I want to talk about is that today we had our joint practice with the Arlington Renegades. What I heard from players, some coaches, all that stuff is that quarterback play better than it was last year. So last year we had Montel Cozart, Terry Wilson, and our starter was Kenji Bahar. This year with Jarrett, Nolan, and Reed, I'm hearing that QB play is better than it was last year, which is something that Houston fans should be absolutely excited about, because season 1 with the Houston Gamblers, we had Clayton Thorson, completely underwhelming. Season 2, we had Kenji Bahar, never reached his full potential. So quarterback play was always something where you felt like if we just got good quarterback play, we were going to hit the postseason. And I feel like we finally have that. That's really good. Defensive line looked good. And now I'm just excited, man. We played the Arlington Renegades. They're in a joint practice. They're literally the reigning XFL champions, and they only got better since then. And I think we did well. I think next week, I'll talk about it next week, we have the scrimmage against the San Antonio Brahmas. And I think that is going to tell us a lot about this team. When you go, you're playing mostly full speed. You know, you're still not completely hitting, taking people to the ground, but it's going to tell us a lot. And I cannot wait to break that down and to show you guys everything that I'm able to figure out about that. But until next time, rough them up, drill baby drill. See y'all next time.
I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.